88.9 WERS.
Hi, I'm Nina from 88.9 WERS, and we're here with Kevin Parker of Tame Impala. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Great. So you guys have been touring for a really long time now. I mean, just in 2013 alone, you started out doing a U.S. tour, you've gone to Europe, back to Australia, and then you did the whole festival route for a while. Have you gotten a chance to go back to Australia and just kind of recharge for a week or so before starting this one?
Yeah, we actually finally got some time last month. I mean, we all kind of shot off to different places. We all kind of like just did that on the last show, you know, like Dom went to Amsterdam and Jay goes to Melbourne now. So we all just went to different places, but we all just got to chill out. Although, you know, we ended up just doing more stuff, you know, like we had some of the other guys recorded an album. I went to London for some reason. You know, we're like, we think we need time off, and then we end up just doing stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Whenever you're on tour, is there anything that you guys miss from Australia? Either like friends and family or just like comfort food? I imagine not having Vegemite's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, it is difficult to go without Vegemite, but a little bit of planning can get you a tube of Vegemite in the bus so that, you know, I mean, you have to put on a bagel, but that's okay. Wait, what was the question again?
Oh, just if you, like when you're touring, certain things you miss.
Yeah, I mean, well, we all have girlfriends, so we obviously miss them a lot. The air in Australia is quite fresh, you know. You don't think much of it when you're there, and then when you step off the plane after a long tour anywhere else in the world, it's just that, you know, you can smell the kind of desert. It's very refreshing, and yeah, I don't know. Perth's pretty laid back, so it's always nice to go home and just do nothing, you know.
So now you guys are starting off your tour, opening for the Flaming Lips, which is huge. So how are you guys feeling about that? I know Boston's your first stop.
I'm quivering with excitement. I don't think I've ever been this excited for a tour in my life, you know. I haven't even had a coffee today, and I'm just like jittering with... Oh, wait, no, I have had coffee. Sorry. But yeah, you know, I think it's kind of like, it's one of those fantasies for us that we're finally living out. Yeah. And yeah, it's funny, the guys came in before. We've just been playing, like, we had a little like session of show and tell, you know, because we've all got like crazy effects and stuff all over the stage, and we were sort of going around each other's stuff, like, oh, what do you got? I got a Neutron biphase, phaser, you know. Oh, what's this? Yeah. You know, we're like doing this little, like, showing each other our toys. Yeah. It's very childish.
So how did this...
in the best possible way.
Yeah. How did this tour come about? Did they reach out to you guys, or was it like... Because you both are people, as you're saying, who have a lot of effects and fun sounds to your shows.
I don't know, to be honest. I'm not sure that any one person actually initiated it. I think it was just like something that was bound to happen eventually, and so it is just happening, and that's all I know about it.
So what kind of material are you guys going to be playing? I know, like, having an opening slot, obviously, versus a headlining spot's different. And especially, too, Lonerism has been so successful. It's on so many top 10 lists from last year. Do you feel like you lean more towards that because of that, or do you try to play stuff from, you know, earlier stuff as well, including, like, your EPs?
Oh, yeah, there's a good mix, I think. It's just one of the advantages of having more than one album. It was such a luxury once we had two albums to pick from, you know, because then it becomes like a playlist, not just, you know, playing all the songs from one album. So yeah, no, it's I think it's a good like half and half, and there's a lot of things that aren't even on any albums. They're not really even songs, they're just kind of like weird jams or segues. But that's kind of you know, they become my favorite parts in the set. Yeah. I mean, it's not just playing a song exactly how it is in the album, it's doing something different, you know.
Yeah. And I know for you guys, a lot of times live you do like extended jams and you like work around the song so that it becomes much longer, but recently you've almost been remixing some of your songs live and they sound pretty different. So how did that come about? Was that a conscious decision? Did you just want to try it with a different sound?
I don't know how it came about. It's kind of just something that we love to do. It's just, you know, we don't record the song as a band. Like, by the time we play it as a band, it's already, the song is kind of finished. So we just see it as kind of like, we just take the song as it is, you know, and we like think about what's going to sound the coolest, you know, which parts will sound the coolest and which parts we don't need to do, you know, because it's not going to be as fun to play them live. Yeah. So, you know, we can just like extend bits, shorten bits, take bits out, put new bits in, make just a completely new song. It's almost as though, like, you know, it's like we're playing the song as though it was recorded in a parallel universe, you know, when certain decisions weren't made in the studio to make the chorus there, or instead of, you know, one night I thought of one melody, it's, you know, it was like if I did it on a different night and thought of a different melody, you know, it's just,
Yeah.
I like that's how I like to think of it.
Awesome. And then what's it like too for you guys? Because I imagine when Lonerism came out and then you started seeing all of these like really great reviews and great praise for the album, what was that like for you guys, having all of that accumulate over the course of the year and pushing until now?
It's always flattering, obviously. I mean, I think you kind of get desensitized to that kind of thing. You know, if a million people say your album is terrible, by the 100th person, you're not going to care anymore. And if people say it's amazing, then by the 100th person, you're not going to care anymore. You know, like, yeah. So I mean, people's opinions. You know, when the album first came out, I'm always kind of curious about what people think, or even like curious to see what people actually think it sounds like. Because by the time you finish an album, your perception of what it sounds like is completely skewed. You know, it doesn't. You don't. I mean, only now I'm starting to hear the album in a way that other people do. You know, when it first came out, I thought it sounded like the Backstreet Boys. You know? Yeah. So I mean, it's kind of a curiosity more than anything else. But yeah. And then after a while, you just, you know, you kind of, people think what they think. You know, doesn't really have an effect after a while.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of sound were you going into the studio expecting with that? If now you feel like you're finally hearing it the way everyone else does?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's funny. I like when I listen to it now, I feel like I'm almost listening to it as someone that didn't make it, you know, just like another music listener or whatever. So, you know, it's some pretty crunchy dream pop psychedelic stuff. You know, I can hear the like the Beatles comparisons finally. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know.
Is that something you didn't notice originally, like when you guys were making this?
Not at all. So when people first started saying it, I was like, "Oh, come on, it's the long hair, isn't it?" You know. Yeah. But now I can kind of hear it. It's like, oh yeah, that does have some pretty Beatles-esque vocal melodies or whatever, you know. Yeah. But it's cool, you know. It's always been a compliment. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, do you feel like you normally hear different feedback from fans depending on where you are? Like, because I feel like multiple of artists say that, you know, coming to America, the fans here are very different than those in London or Australia or like even Paris.
Mm-hmm. I guess so. I mean, everything happens so quickly on stage. I forget to interpret how audiences are different. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Americans are generally really loud and passionate. You know, they can just be the best audiences. They usually are. You know, I think there's like such a, you know, not to say that the rest of the world is more passionate about music, but you know, nowhere else in the world do people follow you or like from show to show. It seems like this kind of thing here where it's like, I'm going to follow this band on tour, you know, mm-hmm. behind their tour bus or whatever. You know, that just, I mean, for me, it's a good example of how dedicated people are to listening to music in America. Yeah. And it shows everywhere.
Awesome. And then so WERS, we're a non-commercial station, and we play a lot of local acts and bigger acts as well. So how, for you, either growing up or as a musician, has non-commercial radio been of a help?
I don't think there are many radio stations in Perth. I mean, we've got like one indie one, and I mean, yeah, for what we do, it's invaluable. Is that the right word? You know, it's essential. I mean, there are a lot of other parts of the world where places don't have that. They don't have like community radio and just alternative radio stations where like bands that don't play radio-friendly music can get played, you know. And so anywhere you are where there is something like that, you notice that there's just like music flourishes because people aren't afraid to do something bold or or left of center because maybe they won't get played on the radio. You know, they just do it, and people get behind them, and people hear it. You know, it works.
Great. Well, thank you for stopping by. Once again, my name's Nina from 88.9 WERS, and we're here with Kevin Parker of Tame Impala. Thank you.
No worries.
88